Everyone, welcome to my channel. I am Gift and you're welcome to Gift and Couture. So in today's tutorial, I'll be sharing with you how I was able to make this beautiful playsuit that you're seeing on your screen. And if this is your first time of coming across my channel, please do well to like, share, comment, subscribe. And to my old subscribers, thank you so much. And the materials I use for this tutorial is just the fabric, stay and elastic. But in a situation where you'll be needing zip, I didn't put zip because I actually used elastic, so don't just worry, you can use zipper in case you want to sew it. All right, so let's get started. So these are the measurements. Our waist is 20, our thigh is 14, our shoulder is 8. Now for our waist, I'm still going to add to because these are exact waist. All right, our shoulder is 8, our half length is 8. Okay, hip is 20, that's with diaper. Okay, if you want it to be firm, it's 20, but since I want it to be kind of free and based on the style, I'll be adding extra 3 inches to it. All right, and the length of the knicker that I'll be using is 9, though I later increase it. Anyways, let's get started. Okay, so I'm going to use this paper, though I've already used it, but don't get distracted. All right, so just use a paper. You can actually do it on the fabric if you want, but for a clearer view, that's when I use this pattern paper. So let's go ahead and divide our shoulder into 2. Our shoulder is 8, so I'll be dividing it into 2, which is 4. So on the shoulder line, you're going to come down by 1 inch. This is to get the shoulder slope. When you are done, connect it like this, and from there place your tape roll on that line, extend it downward to get a armhole. Just divide our shoulder into 2. All right, so that's what I did. Remember, our shoulder is 8. Even though I had it half an inch, it doesn't matter. Just divide the shoulder into 2, and then next thing I did, mark the half length. Okay, go ahead and do the same thing. All right, so when you are done doing that like that, so divide our waist measurement into 2. For our actual waist is 20, so instead of using that 20, I went ahead to add extra 2 inches to it. All right, so making 22. So I went ahead to divide it into 2 and I mark it there. Go ahead and do the same thing. And I also had like 1.5 seam allowance. You can use 1. All right, so on the chest measurement, you are going to go ahead and connect it just like that, and then the same measurement you have on the waist. All right, so that's what you are going to put there, because you know she's still a baby and she's growing, so all our measurements are almost the same thing. So the same seam allowance, that's what I did, and that's it. So on that chest line, I went ahead to take the same measurement I have on the shoulder and extended it downward. For the neck width, I used 1.5, and for the neck depth, I used 1.5 as well. Okay, I think I used 2 inches for the neck width, and for the neck depth, I use 1.5. All right, so just go ahead and connect it, you know, since based on the style. So that's the reason I use that measurement. Now the distance from the chest line to where the armhole is, okay, go ahead and divide it into 4. Whatever you have, mark it, and then from the shoulder downward, go in by, divide the length into 2. On the midpoint, go in by 0.2 or 0.3, and then connect the armhole like that. You are connecting the 3 dots together, okay, just like what you are seeing on the screen. So when you are done just like this, you are done cutting the front. Next thing is to go ahead and connect the seam allowance, and that's it. So because I only have 1 phone, I've already gone ahead to connect the neckline. So on that armhole line, you're going to connect it straight to where you mark the neck depth. All right, so for the neck depth, I used 2 inches. I brought it down by 2 instead of that 1.5, and from that armhole, I connected it. I've already used pen to connect it before using this marker to make it a little more clearer, and that's it. So let's go ahead and cut it out just like this. We are done cutting the front, all right, the upper part. So after you are done, go ahead and place this paper on another pattern paper, and then go ahead and connect it. So for the back, I'll be adding extra 1.5 to, because I want the waist to have elastic. All right, so for the back, I added extra 1.5 to it, All right, you can use one. The reason I actually did this is because so that she'll be able to wear this for a longer period. See, I've sewn clothes for this girl before, she's growing before ah so that is why I added this measurement, so that even when she gets to 1 year, 1.5 year, she can still be wearing this. All right, so just like this, we are done cutting. Next thing is to go ahead and cut out the front, because I didn't cut out the front out. Cut out the neck like this, and then the next thing is to go ahead and cut out the back the way I want it. So for the back, I want it to be a little lower. All right, for the front, so I went ahead to label it. You can go ahead and do the same thing. Now for the back, it depends on you, and for that 1.5, it depends on if you want it to have that elastic. But if you don't want it to have the elastic, just go ahead and remove that 1.5. So on that armhole side, I went ahead to mark it, because that's where it has to align, both sides has to align. And for the back, I went down by 1.5. okay, I actually use 1.5, that's what I did, and then connected it from that armhole to where I marked the 1.5, because I wanted it to be a low back, even though I didn't actually see how the style inspiration is. All right, so just like that, we are done cutting both the front and the back. And the next thing I did was to go ahead and measure the length of that, and also confirm the length of the stripe. Okay, so because I'll be cutting it like that. Okay, that's just it. So now that we are done, I went ahead to take another paper, go ahead and do the same thing. Please just follow this method. All I did was to place the front on the back just for it to align, because it has to align. All right, that's just it. And then mark it. So from the waist downward, now we are cutting the knicker like this. Okay, we are cutting the short. So just like this, I went ahead to mark 6 inches. She's still wearing diaper, so I just assume, because of the diaper and all those stuff, I assume it to be like 6 inches, so that it has to be free. And then I went ahead to connect it. So if your child is bigger, or someone that you're sewing is bigger than this, you can increase it or reduce it. If the child is no more wearing diaper, this measurement is still okay. So I went down by 1.5. so the first 6 inches is, let's assume, to be the hip line, and then this 1.5 is the crotch line. That's what I did. And the next measurement I did was the knicker length. Actually used 10 inches. I thought of 9, and I decided at the end that 10 will be fine, and I marked 10. So if you want your own to be a little shorter than this, you can reduce it. All right, so next thing I did was to go ahead and connect the lines, and that's it. Now that we are done connecting the lines, remember we've already marked the waist. Next thing I did was to go ahead and label it the hip line, the crotch, and the knicker length. All right, so just like this, we are done labeling. So our thigh is 14. You remember, it doesn't have to be tight based on the style, so I went ahead to mark that 14. Okay, so after marking the 14, the hip is 20. Remember, I said I'm not using that exact measurement, so instead of using that, I'll be using 20. Instead of when you divide 20 into 4, you have 5. Instead of using 5, I made it 6, and then connect it from that crotch line to the hip line, and from the hip line up to the waist. All right, so on that knicker length, the same measurement you have on that's what you extend to the knicker length. Okay, just go ahead and connect it like that, and that's it. Just like that, we are done cutting the front. Okay, now for the waist, remember we've already added measurement, and there's nothing to be added on the waistline. Just go ahead and connect it from that hip line to the waist. You might be wondering why is a curve like that, but don't worry, it's because of the elastic that I'm going to add. That's why it's like that. But if you don't want the elastic, you cut it perfectly and it won't come out like this. The next thing I did was to go ahead and add 1.5 inches for the hemming allowance. All right, so just like this, we are done cutting the front, and the total length is now 10, excluding the seam allowance, the hemming allowance rather. Now I went ahead to place tape rule to measure the total length, like from my shoulder to where the knicker is, and I got 18. Yeah, so if you want your own to be shorter, you will know how to reduce it. All right, so this is the bag. I went ahead to place it, and then the upper part for the bag. All right, I went ahead to place the same pattern on it, just for it to align, because you have to follow this method for it to align. All right, if you don't follow this method, if you decide to add more, it's going to affect the joining. So all I did was to go ahead and connect this to the waistline, just like that, and on the hip line I extended it by 1.5, just like that, and on the crotch line I extended it by 2 inches. All right, so just like that, we are done connecting, and the same measurement I have on the crotch, I extended it downward, and that's it. Remember, we are not adding, please note, we are not adding any allowance to the waist. All right, since we've already aligned, the next thing I did was to connect it to align with the waist measurement, and that's it. Just like this, we are done cutting. Go ahead and do the same thing. All right, so next thing, I went ahead to cut it, and that was it. So now that we are done cutting, we are going to go ahead and cut it, cut our fabric. All right, you can see how the waist is. I cut it the exact thing, there was no any addition to it. All right, so this is the front, and that's the back. Next thing, I went ahead to label the front and also the back. All right, so I'll go ahead and cut it on the fabric. Now if you are going to be using the stripe fabric, please let your lines be vertical. All right, do not cut it horizontal, just cut it the way it is, like this. I went ahead to add seam half an inch for the joining. Even for the knicker, I added half an inch for the waist joining. All right, and that was it. That's all I did. So now we are going to go ahead and sew it. All right, you are going to remove your pattern paper and then sew the front like this, the center, and also sew the back like that. Okay, so I've gone ahead to sew it. Go ahead and do the same thing as well. So next thing is to go ahead and join the side and also join the down part. You can see how it is, just join it like that, half an inch, half an inch. And next thing is, when you are done joining, go ahead and open the side seam and iron it properly. So what I was doing here, I was actually cutting the bias, the strap that I'm going to use for the neck, and I didn't know that it wasn't recording properly. So I'm still going to show you what I did. I just want to know that when you finish cutting, this is how it's going to look like. When you stretch that bias, the fabric is going to stretch like that. So let me show you what I did. Now for you to get this, you're going to open your fabric down, all right, just like that, and then you're going to fold it, pick that edge, okay, just like that edge, and position it diagonally. All right, so when you are done like that, you're going to fold it. Now if you stretch this fabric, it's going to stretch, that is, you are cutting it on bias. Now with this, you can determine the length, the width of your whatever you want to cut from. So go ahead and mark it, but for this story I actually marked 2 inches. Just go ahead and do it like that, and then cut it. When you are done cutting out, just go ahead and slit it. Okay, go ahead and slit it when you are done. So when you know it's unfold, when you open it, you can now slit it and then fold. Now even when you are cutting deep, because here I actually put paper stay, and when I cut the paper stay, how I cut it on bias. I also folded it. Now the edges, I folded like 0.3 inch on both sides, and then go ahead and fold it together. Just go ahead and do the same thing as well. All right, now I've already gone ahead to do it, and that's what I needed to explain to you. So let's go ahead and fix it on how it's supposed to be on the dress. Okay, now this is the upper part. I've gone ahead to join the back. All right, okay, I join it with half an inch. So before joining the sides, okay, so we are going to go ahead and attach this strap to the neck. So how to join it? When you are done ironing it, all right, go ahead and put it You can sew it from outside to inside, all right, but for this story I decided to follow this method. Just go ahead and push your main fabric in. Now what you are pushing is actually the same inch that you folded on the strap. So when you are done, just push it. As you are going to sew it, go to your machine and then sew it. You don't have to be fast, take your time. When you get to that middle point, stop it. Then take another strap from that side, okay, from the armhole side, sew it like that, and when you get to that point, then you stop. Okay, so when you are done sewing, it should look like what you're going to see. Please just make sure you get to that middle point. All right, get to that middle point and stop. You don't have to climb each other. So when you are done, it should look like this. Okay, so you can see how it is. Just follow this method, please, and you get it. And when you get to this point, make sure you iron your strap and then sew it. Lay it properly and sew that line. Okay, sew it, let it lap on each other. So now I'm going to go ahead and put elastic on the back, and this same method I cut on bias, the same strap, I went ahead to do it for it to align together, and I also went ahead to put elastic. So if you want to put the elastic, please just follow this method. Okay, and if you don't want to put elastic, just remove the measurement I added, the extra measurement I added to the waist. Okay, so for this, remember I will actually measured the neckline and the back. I also went ahead to measure the length of that bag, which was 5.5. okay, and then I sum it up and then assume it to be like 7 to 8 inches. Okay, and then that was what I did, and then I went ahead to mark it. Please just follow this method. So I also joined the other strap together to get the same length measurement. So the next thing is to go ahead and turn your strap in, then pick up the back. Okay, just pick up the back that you've already put the elastic like that, stretch it out, just stretch it out like this. Okay, then go ahead and put the strap inside the top just like that, and then go ahead and stretch it, then sew it where you actually mark it. Okay, go ahead and do the same thing on the other side, stretch it out and then position it where you mark it, where you chalk it. All right, so when you are done, just go ahead and stretch it out and then sew the sides. Okay, when you are done, make sure you sew the side. Remember, depending on the measurement that you had it. Okay, so when you are done, it should look like this. Okay, you can see, and I didn't cut the strap out because I wanted her to wear it first before cutting it out. Okay, next thing is to go ahead and turn the necker. This is the front. All right, now turn it to the other side. This is the back. Where the back is, you are going to join it to the lower part. Okay, and please, if you've watched this video to this point and you've not subscribed, please do well to subscribe. That's the only way you can support me, and that's the only way YouTube can push this video to more audience. So when you are done, it should look like this. And remember, I told you I'm going to put elastic, so I'm going to go ahead and put half an inch elastic on the joining. That's from the back, from this side of the back to the other side of the back. It's not going to be in front. Okay, so this is the elastic. After joining it, just go ahead and put the elastic. That's all. Okay, and this is the belt. I've gone ahead to cut belt, and the length of the belt that I cut is actually 36. So that's 36 divided by 2, you have 18, and that's it. Okay, so and the width of this belt, okay, is 2.5. okay, and I also went ahead to cut loop. You know, the belt has loop because she's still a kid. She won't be able to control the belt if there is no loop. Okay, so just go ahead and sew it, and that's it. So I've gone ahead to put one side of the loop, and the length of the loop that I use is actually 3 inches. And when you fold it half an inch, the total of what you're going to get is going to be like 2 inches. So this is what I did. That's the belt. So on this side, you are going to place it in the middle. Okay, from the middle, you are going to go up by 1 inch and then fold that belt, the loop. Make sure you divide it, like fold it into two, like the loop. So when you're done, sew it. And I also went ahead to sew the hemming line, and this is the belt, the hemming line, and iron it. So after I was done, I went ahead to put the belt, and that's it. So that's basically it. So thank you so much for watching. If you've watched this video to this point, please, I'm begging you, if you like this video, if you like the tutorial and you like this outfit, please help me to like. Make sure you like before you go subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. See you, and don't forget to on your notification bell so you can always get notified whenever I post a new video. Thank you so much. Thank you, and God bless you. See you in my next video. Bye bye.